You kind of broke on Howard Stern, right? I mean, we always kind of have this conversation about Stern. What is Joe Rogan kind of turning that page to where comedians can break? Because when you hear a guy on Joe Rogan, it could possibly, start their career. Howard's not really doing the young comedians anymore, and some of these guys aren't even young, like Drew Lynch and a lot of these names I've never heard of. I'm like, oh, that guy's kind of funny. Is that kind of where it's gone? Is Joe the guy that kind of people now look to as maybe where Howard was in the early 2000s?
I think so. Yeah. I mean, Joe's broke a lot of comics, and you make a couple appearances on there. And next thing you know, people love that stuff. You see the views he gets on YouTube and all that stuff. And yeah, I mean, he's the guy basically. He was the West Coast guy. Now he's obviously in Texas, but yeah, I mean, he's launched a bunch of comics careers, and he loves comedy. He loves comics. He loves supporting and stuff. He does a lot of great things for comics behind the scenes that people don't even know about and stuff. So. Yeah, he's a good dude. No, but he's definitely the modern day Howard Stern. Absolutely.
I always think about your time on there because it was where I heard of you first. I heard of Greg Fitzsimmons, Craig Gass, Artie Lange, and I'm always I'm always interested in those days for you when you went in there and it sort of helped your career. Just what was that like the next day after you come off that show? Was it that weird phone ringing off the hook, or because they were playing the Crank Yankers stuff and the terrorizing telemarketers was really what they started playing. Was it that quote overnight success at all for you, or did it take a few times on there?
Yeah, it took a few times, but I would just remember, you couldn't believe how many people listened to the show. Like I had no idea. I'm in my little comedy world, living in like a little apartment and stuff, and then I'm getting in touch. People get in touch with me that I went to high school with and grammar school, and oh my God, I heard you on there in college and all that stuff, so it was like, man, I knew I listened. I just, I knew he had a big audience. I just didn't know how much he reached. And then, once you start doing the road, all of a sudden people are like, oh, I know that guy. He was on Howard Stern, and they'll come to see you. So yeah, I didn't know it was going to be that big, that fast, like that much power, and that people would want to come to a comedy club just to be associated with anybody that was on the show.
It really did happen that way because you guys started rolling through here, and I'm like, oh, I want to see Craig, I want to see Art, I want to see Jim, and you guys had this whole traveling group.
Well, Artie Lange bringing me out on tour, we were both, that was a big thing because Artie became a rock star on that show, and me and Artie were friends, so he's like, dude, I want you to open for him. I'm like, great. So we're performing in front of 1,000 people a night in these theaters, which is insane. So that's how people got to know me by me opening for Artie, which is great,
Any conversations with Artie? He's back doing his podcast. Have you talked to him and seen how he's doing?
No, I mean, I did his podcast. I don't know, like we just did a Zoom thing and that was it. So it seems like he's doing okay. He's doing a couple podcasts a week. So, he's a good dude, man. He just had some demons and, hopefully he'll get back out there at some point.
Sounds like he's still hard.
Funny guy, man.
He's still hard to get a hold of, though. I hear. That's what I'm understanding. You still have to do the man.
It's impossible. Yeah, that's why I don't even try. I don't even know. But me and Artie were always friends, and if he gets back out there, I'm sure we'll be doing shows together and hanging and stuff. But whatever he's got to do to get better, whatever he's doing, seems to be working. So that's good for him, and he's at least resurfaced doing the podcasts.
And I know, I'm sure we've mentioned this before, but Howard has sort of changed the way his show is. It's, kind of interview driven and it's from home. Do you have any contacts over there? Do you ever check in with those guys? And I know you've got a new, I think, terrorizing telemarketers coming out, maybe a place to debut it. But do you get a chance to talk to him or get on that show and have any discussion?
No, I keep in touch with everybody there. I don't have Sirius anymore. I haven't heard the show in years. I mean, I do a show on Sirius on the Hard Rock Channel on Ozzy's Boneyard. So I'm up there. It used to be up there all the time. I mean, they're starting to let people back in the building, but I'd see everybody, and I'm still friends with all those guys and keep in touch and stuff. But with the shutdown, like everybody's just still basically working at home, especially in New York City. They barely let you in a building still.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I'm still amazed by your balls to ask Robin out. I'm just curious that day when you were on the show. Was that something that crossed your mind in the middle, as you walked in there? Because it worked out for fun, for a while there, right? I mean, tell me a little bit about that day going in there.
And people bring that up all the time. It was almost like 20 years ago. I don't remember. I really don't. It's just like, it's a blur. It's like, that was eons ago. I'm sure she doesn't remember either. but it was a great time on the show, especially when he moved over to Sirius. You could say whatever you want. They had the Sibian. I was in there when Jenna Jameson sat on the Sibian. I mean, it was insane. I was in when Jeff the Vomit guy, girls would come in and puke on him. I mean, it's like crazy. I remember that stuff, but I don't know. I mean, look, it's all good, It all worked out for everyone.
I was going to say, it was a long time ago, but I mean, that was a major storyline on that show.
It was, but it's like, I don't, I can't, my mind doesn't go back that far on a lot of things. I remember things here and there, but no, it was fun. And just be a part of that show and be a part of that crew. I was really good friends with Casey. We used to hang out all the time and stuff. We became good friends and stuff. Started with John for a while. We toured until, he left the show. So, and then, I forget all that stuff, and John's moved on, and Casey's doing his own thing. So it's all good. We're all still alive. That's the way I look at it, Yeah.
What is Casey doing? We text, but I'm still not sure what he's up to. I think he's doing some sort of radio show podcast.
Some kind of radio thing. He's got some radio network or something that he's doing, producing shows. So, he's doing all right. I see him once in a while, like every couple of years. I'll perform in Long Island. He'll come out to a show.
Now, I mentioned the new Terrorizing Telemarketers, right? Is there a new disc coming out, or did I read that correctly?
At some point it will, but yeah, I'm working on it. It takes time. You don't know when. You can't. There's no set time when it's going to be ready because people got to call you. So if they don't call, I can't. There's nothing I can do. I got to wait until they call.
You're just sitting there with play, record, ready to hit, and then you're like, all right, here we go.
Yeah, I mean, I just got a house phone hooked back up after, friggin' never, and just, because, it's better audio on the house phone. And then, the phone started ringing as soon as I plugged it in. It was crazy.
What's the minutia? I was going to say, what's the minutia on that? So do you have some sort of bit planned in your head, and then you get the telemarketer, and you're like, all right, here's what I'm ready. Like these are all sort of mapped out, and now here comes the call, and now, all right, I've worked on this.
Sometimes I'll just ad lib it if I hear a certain word. Then I just know, okay, listen, I'm going to go in this direction. There's one I know that I was working on that probably the guy goes, hey, I want to hook you up to an insurance agent. I just have to ask a couple of questions. Do you have 10 minutes to talk to him? And as soon as I heard that, he said that like 3 seconds in the call, I go, I don't have 10 minutes. I have like 5. Is there any way you could do it in 5? And then it just goes, it's just chaos after that. I don't have 10 minutes. I'm just asking, why can't he do it in 5? Why can't he talk faster? If he talks really fast, can he do it in? So I just sometimes, but then other times, like, let's plan this thing where you're going to pick up and then we'll just mess with the person. But they have to participate on the other end. Like if they don't react, it's not a good call. We need someone to get upset, get angry, yell at us, be confused. That's when it's a good call. So they're really the star on the call if you can get under their skin.
It's hard because they all work in these, sweatshops, and they have to, get these calls in 3 minutes and get the deal or move on, right? It seems like a different type of atmosphere these days, thankfully.
Yeah, but I think if they're happy that someone's on the phone and stayed on the phone with them without potentials, I'll deal with it, which I have that advantage.
Have you been part of this the Crank Yankers reboot here a little bit? Are you doing anything for them?
Yeah, I've been on the last couple of seasons. It came back after, 12 years, which is crazy.
Puppets doing funny pranks. I mean, who knew that this would continue? But it seems like a winning formula for Jimmy Kimmel and his group, right?
I think 2007 was the last season we did, and then 2019 ended up Blue comes back. So we did 2 seasons so far, and I think we're going to do another one. I'm not sure. I guess they'll let me know. But yeah, I mean, just look, if you can make money making prank phone calls, that's shit that I did when I was a kid. Like, it really is the American dream.
You were like a creator, right? It was Jimmy Kimmel and Adam Carolla's kind of production company. They just sort of came to you because they'd heard you, right? That's how that worked?
Yeah, it was they were, it was their idea to do the prank calls and recreating with puppets. They just picked me to be one of the guys on there doing the calls. But yes, and they still do the show. Jimmy still does it, no matter how busy he is. Adam still does it. So pretty much the same crew that was from back in the day is back.